that, hi and welcome to After the Hype. I'm your host, Brian Dressel. With me is Ryan James.
Hello.
And John Hardesty.
Sure.
And Chewy was not able to make it today. She's very excited about that. So
whatever
She's
do you
been
mean?
giving me shit all week for my excitement over Civil War.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing today. I know I said at the end of last week that our next episode was going to be the Hateful Eight, but it's not. Because
you're a liar.
I'm a liar. And we got a really cool guest who can only be here next week. So we decided to do one of our new things, which I mentioned back, I think, in January that we're going to start doing new stuff. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/afterthehype or on Twitter at John, help.
ATH_podcast.
I'll remember that at some point.
Yeah.
I've still yet to tweet.
But it is not this day.
Yeah. So not this day.
Go with Facebook. Don't go to Twitter. We don't even know our Twitter handle.
Yeah, I've never tweeted. I don't know what tweeting is.
Maybe we'll have a video about Brian learns how to tweet.
I also don't know how to instantly gram.
It's way after the hype on Twitter and Instagram.
I don't know what any of these
It's time
things
for you
are.
to learn, Brian.
I think we all wish we could instantly gram.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get started today with what is going to be a new thing called HYPETIZERs. And that's going to go completely against our namesake of After the Hype. And we're going to talk things that we're actually hyped about and things that we're excited about. And today's episode will be a little bit different than what we normally do. We're actually going to do a little bit of an actual After the Hype part of this. And then we're going to talk a lot of the hype stuff, which is all Civil War, and not that Civil War, the comic Civil War.
The Marvel Civil War.
Yeah, the Marvel Civil War. So we have some Civil War 2 stuff to talk about. We have the movie that's coming out in a week or so here to talk about, and then we have, which will be our After the Hype, the 2006 comic book run, which we all three slammed our way through in the course of about 4 days.
I don't think, was it your first time?
Yes.
Okay, so John was a first timer. Brian and I had read this before, but I think we got a little deeper in the tie-ins this time.
Yeah, I read it when it came out, but I only read the main run.
Okay.
Because at that point, I was kind of very, very anti-tie-ins because I was like, no, fuck you. I will only spend what I want to spend. And that was 7 books as opposed to 106.
That was a way healthier time in my comic book habit when I would just sometimes pick up books that looked good.
Yeah.
Now I have a pull list and way too much money.
You just show up, it's like, that'll be $100.
Yeah. I show up and they know me and they're like, oh, I got that cover you want. I'm like, fuck, I'm well too known at this comic book store.
All right, well, you said you want to get started with Civil War 2, right?
Yeah, so I think to put this all into context, I could talk a little bit about a panel I saw at WonderCon with Brian Bendis, and he was kind of
For those of you who don't know, Bryan Bendis is like the Marvel guru right now. Like,
Yeah,
he does all the big events and
he's like the creative in charge at Marvel, dealing with their overall story arcs. So he did a panel at WonderCon about what's upcoming in Marvel comics. And the main draw of the thing was Civil War. So he was kind of talking about, somebody asked him, like, okay, Civil War was 10 years ago now. The movie is coming out, but why did you feel the need to do it again in the comic books? And his answer was because we have an all different Marvel universe. So if anyone's not following at home, Bruce Banner is no longer the Hulk. It's now Amadeus Cho. We have Miles Morales as Spider-Man. We have Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. We have who else is different? X-23 is Wolverine. Kamala Khan is
Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel. So he wanted something to put these new superheroes through. Jane Foster as Thor is another one. Yep. Right. Sam Wilson is Captain America. So it's kind of like this big shake-up event that they want to put all the Marvel superheroes through to kind of like change their perspective on being superheroes. And I think with this all-new, all-different universe, they're all pretty young. So I think the Civil War 2 is going to kind of make them grow up a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like what he said. It's kind of necessary because it's like the whole vigilante thing. I mean, DC does their own kind of version of it. It's never quite this extreme. But it's kind of that thing where it's like it's checks and balances. It's like you need to know how far you can go before the people would actually be afraid of you. And this is kind of that moment.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of came after, I think in Marvel Comics in general, this came after however many years of superheroes just running around pretty unchecked. I mean, kind of Spider-Man always got a bad rap from Jonah Jameson. Daredevil always was kind of hunted by the police. But by and large, Iron Man, Captain America, these extreme, super rich, Fantastic Four, like superheroes were able to run around and police themselves.
Right, and I really like the idea of doing it again, like because it doesn't. I get that it's called a sequel and that sort of stuff, but it kind of feels it feels a little necessary. So I'm excited to read it. I really love, especially the new ones. I love the new Miss Marvel. I think she's one of the coolest characters they've written in a long time.
Yeah.
And one of the promo photos they've released, because her hero is Carol Danvers, who is Captain Marvel. And one of the first photos released is her ripping up Carol Danvers' photo. And it's like, I love these little things of like you have to go against your heroes, which was a big thing in the original comic run, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Right now, I think.
So at that point, I will throw up the spoiler warning, which we never do on our show. But if you're very worried about the upcoming movie, that it might follow the old comic book run, from here on out, we will be talking about things that happen in the old comic book run and possibly in the new movie. So if you want to go in completely blind, bye!
Listen to our next episode on Hateful Eight or...
Hateful Eight or Star Wars, which is coming up soon. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. Like the coolest thing for me, as when I was reading this back in 2006, was I love the relationship between Tony Stark and Spider-Man.
Yep, me too.
And that was always the major thing going into the upcoming movie that we have coming up soon, that I was really afraid of it being lacking. I know that they're there and I know that they're on the same side, but like there's something about that, like I will do whatever you need me to, boss. Like I love that.
It's more. It's so much deeper. It's a jokingly father and son relationship, which I love so much from the comic books.
Yeah.
And it is. I mean, this is what we're. I don't even know where to start with this. One of my major problems and fears about the Civil War movie is that it was done too soon. Is that there's so many characters that were quintessential to it in the comic books, like Stephen Strange, Reed Richards, Spider-Man, that they haven't.
Just those guys, those minor characters.
They haven't given the cinematic universe enough time to breathe and like build these relationships, because Spider-Man in the comic books, he is always broke and wanted to be an Avenger so desperately. So when Civil War rolled around, this was his time, his chance to actually join the Avengers for real.
Yeah, and he was just so excited to be working with Tony Stark. Like that was like his major thing. And then Tony Stark builds him a suit, and he's just, like all of his dreams are coming true. And then, like just the slow realization for him as the book goes on that he's on the wrong side.
Yeah,
I know it's not going to be in the movie, and I know we were talking earlier. We think it might be Black Panther who kind of takes that role,
right?
But that's my biggest fear in the movie. And I know like you can't have the book be the movie. We talk about it all the time on this podcast. Yeah. That's the wrong way to go. You should adapt it, make it new, different. Otherwise, we're just reading what we've already read or seen or whatever.
Right. We might as well go see Sin City.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And it's like there's a merit to that too, but at the same time, like especially with this, like the Marvel universe has been different so far.
Yeah.
Like very similar but different. And I think this is kind of keeping in line with that. But I am a little concerned that some of those really like heartstring pulling moments just won't be able to be in there because of this.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that we got out of the comic book that I really loved besides Spider-Man's like rise and fall was Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman, Reed Richards and Sue Storm. Their relationship falls apart over the Superhero Registration Act. This is one of the strongest relationships in Marvel Universe, and it is torn in two by this event. And there's just no chance that anything like that is going to happen in the movies. If they had gone the route of Black Widow and Hawkeye and followed that relationship instead of giving him a wife and her the Hulk, that this would have been an amazing chance to rip them apart. And they like have that on again, off again friendship thing going, but it's not as strong as if they had a romantic relationship.
I'm guessing based on I've only watched one trailer and I watched it once because I don't want, like I was saying earlier, I don't want too many things spoiled for me for the movie. But from the very little bit I saw, I think that's what they're trying to do.
Right.
I think they're trying to make them that relationship, and it's just not the same.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something about like we were talking the other day when we were getting ready for all this, like the tie-ins that since we were trying to plow through this so quick, like what we skipped and what we didn't skip, and like I skipped certain things that you didn't skip, and you skipped things that I didn't. But the thing that I read consistently the whole way through was Fantastic Four, because I was never that big into Fantastic Four. That came actually after Civil War. That slowly became one of my favorite Marvel books ever. Like I've read so much Fantastic Four now because of the events in the Civil War back in 2006, and their whole storyline through this whole thing is just fantastic. Like I love Ben just going, "Fuck it, I'm going to Paris." Like, there's so much just cool shit in there.
Like the Avengers wasn't the only team that was torn apart by Civil War.
No, and I'd say it was almost worse for the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Well, and the Fantastic Four really grounded the drama, like the real struggle of the Registration Act. And I'd already liked the Fantastic Four beforehand, just not, it hadn't quite solidified why I liked them until I saw them tear at the seams. Once they were all apart, it was just like, wow, they were kind of they're holding the whole Marvel universe together in my opinion.
The X-Men are always like back and forth, like with their members. Fantastic Four are the Fantastic Four,
but they're also
Forever.
like it's the metaphor of family. Like they've got the family thing, and they're really kind of that core value of the superheroes of the Marvel universe. I would say
that's sadly one of the few things that they just have not been able to nail in any one of the 3, 4 if you count Roger Corman.
Well, and I would make
like any of their movies.
an aside that may be the generation we're in right now. Like there could be something in the society that we're just kind of still figuring out stuff to where I don't know if we can give like family enough of just a genuine shake.
No, I think it's there and it can be done. It's just like when people said they couldn't do Captain America. Mm-hmm. It's the same sort of deal. Like he's too much of a Boy Scout. He's too happy-go-lucky. Like it just can't be done.
They nailed it,
and
though.
they nailed it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can be done. They just need somebody who's a bigger Fantastic Four fan.
Right?
Like,
Big time.
because I just don't think I think the guy who did the first one was a fan. I don't remember who it was right now, but I think he was because it was there. He wasn't the best filmmaker.
Yeah. The only thing I want to say is if you didn't get a chance to, it was all over the web. Like the original filmmaker's ideas for this newest Fantastic Four reboot, they were great. He had like some really solid ideas on paper, and then seems like it was torn apart in the creative process. Probably Fox had something to do with it because they needed a larger than life superhero movie when it wanted to be a little indie sci-fi flick.
And that's what it needed to be. And
Yeah.
I think especially
With young
for
kids,
Fantastic
especially?
Four, it needs to start there.
Yeah.
I mean, because even if like in this book, and we'll get off our Fantastic Four right here in a second.
Yep.
But even
Team
if you do this
Fantastic
book-
Four.
Yeah. I mean, when they meet, she's 13. Like that's Reed Richards is 20
Yeah.
and meets a 13-year-old Sue Storm, and you're still like, they're gonna love each other someday. But right now, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I came across that scene. I was like, oh, I forgot that. Okay, yeah. Let's go back to the present, please.
Yeah. 7 years is not that big of a gap in real relationships, but to a 13-year-old, yikes.
Yeah.
So I want to move on to something, some Avengers business, some Iron Man business. And one of the things that they really missed the mark on that I'm going to be a little sad about in this movie is the Illuminati. This is all road to Civil War in the comic books. We actually get to see Iron Man come to the Illuminati, which is the world's group of secret superheroes. It is Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Professor Xavier, Reed Richards, Tony Stark, Namor, Black Bolt. Am I missing any?
I think that's it.
And they've been kind of secretly running the world for years, and it shows this in the Road to Civil War. Tony Stark comes to them and slides the Superhero Registration Act across the table and says, this is coming through U.S. Congress, and it's probably going to pass, and we need to get on the right side of this before it comes out. And there's just nothing like that. I mean, the only thing like that is the Banner-Stark relationship they hinted at in Age of Ultron.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I'm going to miss the most about that, I mean, they even when the most current that now I'm reading now, the Secret Wars thing, they still go back to that event. Like it's
That
such like an
event was
important event.
The biggest thing in the Marvel Universe almost. And it was like the thing that I loved about that moment in the comic books was Black Panther. You see frame by frame, all the hands go up in support of it, and Black Panther's stays down. And he just goes, you guys are idiots. You're starting a war. Just walk away from this.
Yeah.
And he leaves the room. And I thought that was such a great moment that somebody was keeping a level head. And that was always Black Panther's role. He's in Wakanda. He doesn't get like sucked up in all these superhero alien fights and stuff. He always tries to keep it grounded and be real, you know?
I also kind of, take it for what you will. I think the fact that they don't have another world to kind of deal with, kind of like, I mean, they will kind of do with Black Panther now, but without Namor there.
Yeah.
It's kind of, like, I like having that other thing they always have to deal with like, Atlantis.
And Black Bolt, too, with
Attila. But what you're saying there actually kind of leads into my next thing, and this is when I mentioned spoilers earlier. This is the big one. For those of you who don't know, who are still listening or watching, Captain America eats it at the end of Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like after the event ends, he's going to jail, and Crossbones and actually his girlfriend, Agent 13, murder the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Agent 13 was under a spell or whatever from
some
Red
brainwashing,
Skull.
some Hydra brainwashing.
Yeah, from Red Skull, and she shoots him in the belly like 3 times. Like he's definitely dead at the end of this. And a lot of the speculation going into the movie was that either because of Robert Downey Jr.'s contracts or just because he's been more of the Captain America role than Captain America in this universe, is that he's going to be the one who dies at the end of this as opposed to Captain America. And then they announced that he's in the next Spider-Man movie.
Right.
And it's like, you just killed all fan theories. And like, for what? What do you get out of that? Like, why can't you wait 3 weeks to tell us that he's going to be in it?
I know. That was a weird thing. Which makes me think that maybe the end of this movie won't have anything to do with it. So for the listeners, you want to just run through kind of the comic book Civil War events?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we have Tony Stark brings this superhero registration act to all the superheroes and tells them they got to get ahead of it. It ends up passing, and Captain America refuses to like unmask and turn himself in and start reporting to. I think is it the U.S. government or is it S.H.I.E.L.D. that they're going to report to in the comics?
It's the U.S. government, but the act is being ran by S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay, so then...
So yes to both.
Yeah, Captain America decides he's going to go underground and run from this, and Tony Stark actually convinces Peter Parker, Spider-Man, that he needs to reveal his identity on live TV as part of the superhero act.
Which works out so well for Aunt May.
Yes. So going through this, kind of all the teams are like torn apart by deciding to register or not. Half the people kind of join Team Iron Man and register as superheroes. All the masked vigilantes on that side kind of reveal themselves. On the other side, Captain America, I think most of the like street level heroes in the universe, like Power Man, Luke Cage,
Daredevil,
they all go
would
with
have been
Captain
Jessica
America.
Jones, but she just had a baby.
Yeah. And they kind of like, they want to stay secret. And then what ends up happening is basically Spider-Man realizes the error in his ways and fights Tony Stark and runs away from him, gets his ass brutally kicked.
Oh,
and
man.
in one of my favorite moments in the entire event, the Punisher, of all people, kicks in the door in Captain America's secret underground lair, holding a bloody Peter Parker in his Iron Spider suit and says, "We got to help this man." And of course they do, because they're the good guys in this whole event. Captain America and his team like kind of take on Spider-Man and bring him back to health. And Spider-Man puts on his old suit and has joined Team Cap.
Yeah, I mean the thing that I think they did a really good job with in the comics that I'm again concerned if they're gonna be able to nail it in the movies is they did a really good job of, no matter how much they disagreed, it was clear they definitely still wanted the same thing, and they both acknowledged on both sides, all we want is to help people. So like they disagreed about how to do it, but like even like they have a moment where Captain America and Tony Stark have to meet in, I don't remember which stadium, but just to talk about things, because Happy, who's played by Jon Favreau in the series, gets murdered. And after that, he's like, "Did you do this?" He's like, "No, I would never do that. Like that's not what we're doing here."
Right.
There's even that discussion they have a little bit later in like that kind of small like abandoned house too, where they just they basically come to blows, man to man. Suit, taking the suit off. They fight it out, work through their issues. They don't come to any resolution, but they're like, "We should have done this weeks ago."
Yeah.
Like there's those moments.
And then I think after that they end up either getting tricked or somehow they all come together on the raft, isn't it? The prison.
Yeah.
Which they, I know you haven't seen the all the trailers, but it's in the movie.
I've heard.
And then
I've heard.
They, it comes to giant blows, and Captain America eventually just goes, "Wait a minute, you guys! Avengers, stand down! We're fucking fighting. This is stupid."
Oh, that wasn't on the raft. That was in like the middle of New York.
Well,
Okay.
it
Because
started.
he was
Didn't
tackled
after.
by New Yorkers.
it
Yes,
start there and
you're
then
right.
they get transported? Because
Yes.
like Cloak
Yeah.
and Dagger.
Cloak and
Cloak and
Dagger.
Dagger.
Yeah.
Oh, classic Cloak and Dagger. Yeah, so in the middle of New York, Captain America basically throws his hands up and lets himself get arrested.
Well, he does that after he beats the fuck out of Iron Man and is about to basically take Iron Man out. I don't think he's going to kill him because he's Captain America.
Right.
But as he's about to do it, a bunch of New Yorkers tackle him like, "Get him, get him, get him." He's like, "What? I'm winning." He's like, "No, you're not." Like, and he looks around and sees they're basically blowing up the city and he goes, "I quit."
Yeah, and this is after a few superheroes have died. I mean, who died at the beginning of the event to kick it off? Goliath. So that was one of the
Robo
major
Thor
things.
blasts a hole through him.
Oh yeah, that was another weird thing. Reed Richards makes a clone of Thor, and that's definitely not going to make it in the movie.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Thor's still alive.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That is one instance where maybe for adaptation's sake, let's just leave that out.
Yeah, I don't need Robo Thor.
And then
I'll take
So-
two Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah,
but
basically, Captain America is being transferred prisons, and in that moment, they like totally make this elaborate plan with the Red Skull, where Crossbones, although we don't know it's him yet, is in a window. Captain America sees his sniper scope or his barrel or whatever, and actually dives in front of somebody to stop the bullet, which was their plan all along, geniusly. And then all you see is Captain America's face, and you see blam, 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 and he's down. And much later, you do find out that it was Agent 13, who was his personal liaison in S.H.I.E.L.D. Actually,
who has been introduced in the movies.
yeah, she's in the movies. She actually, delivered the killing blows with her pistol because she was brainwashed, like we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, she had a really bad day.
Yeah. So that issue where it's just her therapy session is really, really good.
Yeah. The one thing that we haven't really mentioned yet that I wonder if they're going to try to do at all is the real catalyst for this that they very smartly did. Was they made a catalyst in the actual series as opposed to something outside the series. So if you just like I did at the time, just picked up the Civil War books, you were in it from the beginning. It wasn't like you're like, well, I had to go back to the road to Civil War or something like that, because it's right in the beginning. It's the Young Avengers, right?
The New Warriors, I think.
New
it is.
Warriors,
yeah.
New Warriors basically go and try to take out a nest of superheroes and
Super villains, yep.
And is it
because
Nitro?
they make a reality show. It's really dumb. They're filming a reality show. And they Nitro explodes, right?
Yeah, and he kills something like 600 people.
Yeah.
Something.
And in a little small town in Connecticut.
And a lot of kids, and that's really what made people go like, well, if the superheroes caused that, what else can they cause? And I wonder if the movie. It doesn't look like it. It looks like the movie's just solely going for the events of Age of Ultron, of Avengers.
I think they'll have something. They'll have some sort of a catalyst. Maybe not quite to the scale of Stamford, Connecticut, but like something. Because I've seen all the trailers and TV spots, so it's like there's something that
TV spots. That's just like Spoilerville.
Yeah, well, I don't care. I've read the books. I kind of know what happens and variants. I'm like, okay, what can you really surprise me with?
Yeah.
Unless Fantastic Four show up,
Basically
which I would be like,
scene.
what?
Yeah,
that'd be crazy, man.
It seems like in the movie they're going for the events of Age of Ultron as being the big like, well, we gotta put these guys in check. Yeah, the Sokovia events, because it seems like in the movie they're actually calling it the Sokovia Accord because Superhero Registration Act probably doesn't translate to film very well.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
I would say that's one thing that the movies are doing interesting, because the comic has that one event, but in our movies, our comic book movies, there's been a lot of just destruction, wanton destruction, and so they're kind of playing on that based off of what I've seen in the shows. Like, you've got this event, this, and this. When's it going to end? And I feel like that might be even just strong enough.
Yeah, and then they're using the. It's actually very similar. The whole in the comic books, Scarlet Witch has been a good Avenger for a while, but she kind of lost her mind. And she does the same kind of like mind control, and she ends up sending the Hulk off on Las Vegas, which he completely destroys. They did that in, I think, Brazil in Age of Ultron.
Yes.
And they decided to send him to space, and I think kind of him just leaving on the jet was the equivalent of that.
When that happened in the comics, I was pretty sad. Surprised and sad, because I didn't know that they did that in Civil War. And when he was like shot up into space.
Did that. Ways before Civil War. That was just kind of a recap.
Recap?
It was much deeper in the Hulk comic itself.
Yeah,
okay,
that was more of just this is why the Hulk isn't here, kids.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Because when I saw that in there as a recap, I was like, oh, that's right. They sent him off, but it threw me off because
they tricked him into thinking that only the Hulk could survive to fix this satellite or hack the satellite. I don't remember exactly what.
Hulk hacked the satellite. To Hulk the satellite.
To Hulk the satellite.
Yeah.
And he gets there and he's like, this is a SHIELD satellite. You don't need me up here. Oh, you're sending me to space forever because you can't kill me. He hulks out on the spaceship, and they don't send him into the sun. He lands on a remote planet and becomes a gladiator warrior. It's a really good book.
Planet Hulk is, for fans of comics, that's like the one Hulk movie everyone wants.
Actually, there was an animation that was pretty good.
I would still love to see Mark Ruffalo have to deal with it, but
as a team,
yes, the animated film, if you get a chance to see it, is fucking great.
As Team Ruffalo, I'm on board.
So let's get back to what the characters that are in Civil War
in the movie
or whatever. The comics finish out.
Here I kind of want to tie it into the movie a little bit, which we've been kind of doing the whole time, anyways. But like the thing that I really want to think about right now is it's a slight difference, but I think it's important to notate that this is not the Avengers Civil War. It is Captain America Civil War.
That's a good point.
Because a lot of the complaints with the original series were, the ending is super abrupt. It's really just, if you don't read any of the epilogue stuff, it really just ends with Captain America going, I quit, and then it's just boom, end. And you miss out on
his death, actually,
you miss out on his death. Yeah. You miss out on what you point out to me is one of the best books they wrote in the whole thing, which is Confessions, which is amazing. You miss out on a lot of really cool shit. But the other complaint was that Iron Man isn't really they did a bad job painting both sides as even. Like the whose side are you on?
Yeah.
Was really like, well, Captain America's. Yeah, this whole thing. Like it was just like, well, Captain America. He's
everybody-
right and Tony Stark is clearly wrong.
Yeah,
That was
basically.
definitely something that I came across while binging this comic series.
Yeah,
I was
they make
I'm
Iron Man the villain.
Yeah, this isn't a difficult choice. You've made this choice easy for me, Captain America.
Yeah, but honestly, the best part about it is that Iron Man wins in the end. I mean, he loses because everybody loses.
Yeah.
But in the end of it, Iron Man, the Superhero Registration Act is still going strong, and Iron Man is actually named Director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, he wins while losing. Yeah, he loses big time, but he also his goal is achieved. But I mean,
if you don't read the confession, you don't know that he lost.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there is an Iron Man book somewhere before that where he's just like, it's all about the one night he has where he almost drinks again.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really good book. Like, that's my favorite thing about this, because I never read the tie-ins. Like, some of the tie-ins are phenomenal.
Yeah. That's a bummer that they haven't really approached that in the movies, that Iron Man has a drinking problem.
I don't think they're ever going to.
They can't because it's a kid's movie, I think. But that is such a strong part of the Iron Man character.
Oh, yeah. But to what we were saying, I think my major concern is that I would like them to be able to show both sides more evenly. Mm-hmm. But since the movie is called Captain America Civil War, I think Iron Man is going to... I mean, we know Zemo's in it, but not as Baron Zemo. I think it's something like Sergeant or something different.
We'll see.
I don't know how, but I'm more concerned that it's just going to be Tony Stark's the villain again. Like I'd really like to see it.
It would be nice if it wasn't just as simple as that, because in Age of Ultron, essentially Tony Stark's the villain. He kind of caused all that mess. He's been kind of a dunderhead in everything but his own movies. And even then, he's still like, it'd be interesting if they took it further or did something more with it than just he has this act.
It does look interesting that in the trailers, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. kind of has all the lines you have sympathy for.
Yeah.
Like when he, you knocked my friend Rhodey out of the sky, or whatever happens in that scene that's in the trailer, and I thought you were my friend. Like, I'm just trying to help you by passing this law, and I'm trying to give you a heads up, and you betray me, and you go on the run, and like now you're a fugitive from your best friend. That's dumb.
Yeah. So I think they're going to do a better job of it in the comics. I'm just concerned that it's going to end up the same way, where it's like I don't want to see Iron Man as a villain again.
Well,
I love Iron Man.
We talked about this yesterday, actually, you and I. Yeah. All hopes are on them bringing back Red Skull.
Yeah.
Because he actually, in the comic books, it is revealed that Red Skull is pulling the strings behind the scenes. He has infiltrated, he has planted one of his Hydra agents as Sharon Carter's therapist, which is how she's able to get brainwashed so easily.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. And the Red Skull was such a good villain in the first Captain America movie, and even they don't recast, but even if it wasn't Hugo Weaving, that would be fine.
Well, he said he doesn't want to do it again, so I think they'd have to recast it, which is easy to do with all of that prosthetic.
Right.
Yeah.
But they seem to not want to anyway. Marvel seems really hesitant to ever recast somebody,
Which is really because they've already done it,
or make a big deal out of it like they did with Mark Ruffalo.
They're going to have to do that soon. Yeah. Anyway,
or just kill off the characters.
Kill off the characters, yeah.
It's one or the other.
So but then also lose the audience that was in it for the characters, because they're not factoring in the mass audience that doesn't quite care that there's a different Captain America. Like, oh, it's not Chris Evans Captain America.
Right.
Not gonna watch it,
So it seems like what's going to happen is this Baron Zemo or Zemo character, whoever that actor is playing him, is infiltrated the government and is like getting this act passed to make the heroes fight, and this is honestly probably going to tie into Infinity Wars. I bet somehow he's working for Thanos and to make Earth weak and ripe for invasion.
Yeah, I mean, but I would love to find out like the chain of command. I mean, this would be a lot to throw in this already very jam-packed movie, but I'd love to find out that Zemo's working for Red Skull.
Yep.
Who's only working for Thanos because at the end of Captain America he got rocketed into space.
Yep.
And like that'd be a really cool series of events, but
I mean, they haven't shown anything regarding who's the mastermind of all this in the trailer.
Right.
So
the only way you'd know is if you pay attention to like the announcements when they said Zemo's in it. It's like, oh, so he's the villain. Mm-hmm. So that's where like I look at the trailer and I go, that big like aircraft carrier. I'm guessing that's the end of Act 2. So I think there's a whole Act 3 with a villain that we just haven't seen yet, and whether or not they're getting along or not or anything. But like clearly, I think that's where it's going to end up going. And I haven't read any of the reviews. I don't know. That's not technically a spoiler. It's just me guessing based on my comic book knowledge.
No, I did read that you're talking about the scene where the classic shot we've seen where the heroes are actually running each other about to fight. I heard that's one of the best set pieces in a Marvel movie yet.
Now, what this movie should probably have are ramifications. Because
Right.
every Marvel movie in the phases seems to kind of have a reset button on a few little elements in terms of like character development, character relationships. They kind of shift around as if the previous movie never happened. And I want some.
I think that was a
per the
Joss Whedon
comics
thing.
Yeah, per the comics, I want.
Specifically for Age of Ultron, he's wanted to make a standalone sequel to Avengers, which is
really it was really countered what Kevin Feige's been trying to do by building this whole connected universe.
Clearly there's just a lot of disagreeing there, and you can see why Joss Whedon said no to the third one. Like, it all kind of makes sense, but I agree with John. I'd really like to see this be the Avengers movie we didn't really get with Age of Ultron. Like, this one have the ramifications, this one have the everything that kind of span out from there.
Yep.
Would be really cool.
So that way in the Spider-Man movie, when Iron Man's in there, there's like weight behind
his
them.
appearance.
So then
really is
we
what I
can kind of
want.
get that two scientists coming together, being like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah.
Oh,
Sort of like in the way that Bruce Banner and
hard.
Tony Stark came together at the end of the first Avengers.
Yeah.
It's like there's a buddy movie in this that I want to watch. You know?
Well, because especially Iron Man doesn't have his buddy anymore. We don't know where Bruce Banner went, except we know he's in Thor Ragnarok, so we're guessing he's in space.
That'd be cool if they actually shot him to Thor.
Well,
Like-
that is happening. He is in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, no, I know he is, but like
it
tie it
seems
in
like
that way. Like we got to get rid of the Hulk somehow. Like that'd be cool if they threw that in there.
Thor, we can pick him up. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
I got to dump my girlfriend anyways.
There's like, man, my car broke down on the Rainbow Highway. I need to make that rainbow connection.
That's the lamest dad joke you've made in a while.
And with that, I'm out.
I think
Maybe we should bring up maybe the sections of the comic that really kind of stood out, because as much as I like the Fantastic Four stuff, the Frontline arc, the Frontline comics really stood
I
out.
can't really mention much about that. That was one of the ones I just.
But like the Ben Urich and the other reporter, like it was pretty cool how they kind of wove in and out and saw the conspiracies and basically were kind of on the ground level of all of it. And then at the very end, they interview both Captain America and Tony Stark, and both of them get to the heart of what was driving them, and like they reveal them to be, shameful. Like you guys both were bad in this, and so each shot is like Captain America being like, okay, fine, I did, like feeling a lot of shame, and then Tony Stark also feeling that same level of shame that he orchestrated way too much and crossed too many lines himself.
I'm going to totally interrupt you.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool? Because Ben Urich's dead in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah,
if you guys don't know, he died.
Daredevil.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be fucking awesome if at the end of this movie, if they kind of went the same way and it was Karen Page interviewing the two of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
I mean, I gotta say that I was really happy with Daredevil because they actually did weave into season 2 of Daredevil. Should I be a masked vigilante or not? Like that's what Civil War at the heart of it is. Like, should we have these people who are able to run around at night with costumes on that nobody knows their identity, and who gives them the right to be the judge, jury, and executioner?
Wouldn't that be a cool surprise
So,
if you just saw
to
Daredevil
weave-
in the side, like just as a throwaway, and
They'll
there's like,
never do it.
they'll
That'd
never
be
do
awesome.
it. But
Cameo with Daredevil or Karen Page would be just absolutely heartwarming and fantastic. Or, dude, Daisy Johnson from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
that one makes the most sense.
It does.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening because they didn't do it. They didn't even have Coulson in Age of Ultron. So I doubt they're going to bring any more TV shows in.
But the reason why I
TV
bring
show
up
characters.
like the Frontline comic arc is that a lot of what made, for me, Civil War so compelling wasn't the main 7-issue arc.
Right.
It was all the fringe. It was everything that was around it, all the other issues. So like the things that weren't the heroes specifically that I found the most interesting. Like there's when they go to Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and they're just getting ready to like, we gotta go, get out of there. And then like the heroes come in later. That's cool. Hooray. But like it was like those side moments where everyone's kind of coming to grips with, all right, it's midnight. Got to do even the very first volley against the superheroes, the guy on the rooftop that Tony Stark takes down. It's just like shit. Like all those moments like are more like they were more interesting to me than just the main kind of arc itself.
I'm going to actually bring up something that I think, and you can cheer over me saying this. Batman versus Superman did something
I loved
right.
it. It was great.
They did something right that the Marvel universe has not even gotten down yet, and is that they gave their characters weight beyond what we've seen on the screen. They gave Bruce Wayne a deep, rich history that we only got hints of. They got Wonder Woman. Gave her a deep history that we only got hints of. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we have to see every single person putting on their underwear for the first time. and going out and fighting crime.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
One of the things I love the most about what DC's been doing right now is I love that because there's something about these lived-in superheroes that, especially somebody who's in their 30s who wasn't around during like the beginning of comics. Like, that's what I grew up with, which is these developed superheroes, and like that's what I love, and I love seeing it. And like, there's something awesome about watching Tony Stark build his first Iron Man suit, and I loved it.
Right.
But do I need to see Thor regain his power? Like, they tried to do it with Thor, but they still had to shoehorn in an origin story. And it's like, that movie would have been so much stronger had it just been, this is Thor.
Yep. He shows up and he fights crime, and he fights his brother who he's been battling with his whole life.
Yeah.
The best thing they've done so far is the beginning of the Hulk movie with Ed Norton, where there's just kind of a
was
recap
really well done,
of his getting his powers.
There's something really awesome about that I really wish that they could pull into this somehow. But
Yeah. So what I loved about the Civil War event is that it came at this peak of everybody like reaching the maximum part of their lives. Jessica Jones and Luke Cage have gotten together, and Jessica Jones is pregnant, and that's scary.
they had a baby.
They had a baby by
had a
Civil
baby,
War?
yeah.
Yep.
So they have a baby to take care of during all this. Spider-Man has been living with the love of his life, Mary Jane,
They're married, aren't
happily
they?
married forever. And this is the moment where he actually has to unmask himself and finally puts his whole family at risk to all of his supervillains.
Which, as I said earlier, turns out really well for Aunt May.
Yeah.
She gets shot in the belly, by the way.
The best story arc to come out of this is Kingpin is in jail, and once Spider-Man reveals himself, he's like, okay, I gotta kill Peter Parker. So he sends a sniper to track him down, and he's like sitting outside of his hotel waiting for it, and pulls the trigger. But of course, Peter Parker's spider sense goes off, and he dives and tackles Mary Jane out of the way, and they turn around to see that Aunt May had taken the bullet instead. And that grows into just like some of the greatest comic Spider-Man writing of all
It
time.
launched Back in Black,
Yeah.
which was awesome.
So Spider-Man decides that he's no longer a hero in his own mind, and he goes and digs out his old black costume, which is actually like a thread and needle thing before it became the Venom suit. And he runs around the city just beating the crap out of all of his supervillains looking for Aunt May's killer. So what else happens that's really good in the comic event? I mean, okay, so I was talking about this being lived in world. I mean, we have this lifelong friendship of Tony Stark and Steve Rogers that they've like hinted at. I thought you were my friend, and the fans on the internet immediately blew up like, but we didn't see them being friends.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
If I was into internet blowups, which I'm really not because I like talking about it, which is why I have a podcast. So I guess I did still kind of internet blowups, but still.
We're blowing up after the hype.
I totally agree with that complaint. They
I do
never
too.
seemed like friends.
Right.
They had somewhat pleasant conversations, and that's it. They were never friends.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably you could probably solve it with a line where it's like maybe Tony Stark is delusional, which okay,
Or drunk.
I could buy that.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, they've never established their friendship. They're mainly like, I'm okay with you for now, like, but I would be so willing to take you down.
They are total coworkers. They're
Yeah.
like,
Right.
oh yeah, I respect him. He does his
That's
job.
coworkers.
But would you ever go out and grab a beer with him? No.
No.
I don't like him, or we respect each other's space.
And if
Yeah.
you take, if he sets out a superhuman registration act, I'll take him down.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
how
if
that's
this
how I
was
am with all my coworkers. If you make a registration act, I'll take you down.
Like, I don't know how they're going to make this seem like Tony Stark is actually trying to help Steve Rogers by bringing this in early. To me, this whole movie is just going to play like Iron Man hunting down Winter Soldier and Captain America not wanting that to happen.
Yeah, which I really hope it doesn't just go that way. But I agree with you. But I'm gonna steer this thing closer towards the end of the episode here, and I want to bring up what's something that happens in the books that you really want to happen in the movie that you know will definitely not happen.
Oh, we've hit that. We've hit so many of those.
Yeah, but what's your number one?
Number one for me is I'm speculating about Iron Man and Peter Parker's relationship. We kind of hit it in the beginning that we really think that they're going to hit some parts of that, but the idea that one superhero, I have two. So the idea that one superhero is on one side and then realizes over the course of the event that he's wrong and changes sides. That is a really powerful moment. And then the Black Panther's role of being the level-headed one almost the entire time and only joining the fight to stop the fight at the end. I think those two perspectives are really important in the Avengers team.
Okay, John.
That scene with the Punisher bringing Spider-Man in, but I know it's never gonna happen.
No, it's definitely not.
But
gonna happen.
it even though I knew it was going to happen in the comics, I didn't know when. And then when it did, I was like, whoa! And to have John Bernthal bring in Spider-Man, I'd be like,
And that moment when he just murders the shit out of the two villains.
Yes.
And just goes, what?
Yep.
It's like, yeah, he is the Punisher. That
Yeah.
is exactly what you expect to happen.
Well, and we haven't really had a ruthless superhero or anti-hero in the Marvel realm, just because it gets a little on the dark territory.
You could make the argument for Daredevil.
You can, but I mean, I don't see the TV and the movies as connected in like very
They
much.
mention it
significant way.
sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
People wear Captain America. Kids wear Captain America.
I save
costumes.
myself a lot of anger if I keep them separate.
Mine is going to be the Thunderbolts.
Okay.
I know they're not going to ever bring the Thunderbolts.
Why would they
in.
bring Ross back if they weren't going to do Thunderbolts?
You think they will?
I think they might make it a TV show.
That would be. But I would. The thing is,
Well,
that
okay,
it
it's
will
gonna
definitely
depend
not
on-
be in the movie.
It's going to depend on how Suicide Squad does.
Yeah, that's true. But there's something about the Thunderbolts, especially if they brought them into the movie, the way they did in the books, which is like, we need to raise our numbers.
Yeah.
These guys say they want to help. It's like, and like the end of the book where they show the shot of them, and it's like, Bullseye's in the middle, and
Yeah.
just like shitting and grin, like,
Yeah. So you just mean the fact that we need villains to join the war, but Marvel has no
Yeah.
good villains yet.
Exactly. So it's kind of like, it's definitely not going to happen.
Loki's not showing up.
they keep
Loki's not
killing
showing
them
up.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Malekith shows up. Like,
Yeah.
I thought you were horribly hammered and then
I'm a-
thrown into another planet.
I'm a Time Lord. What do you think?
Can I add? I want to add one more thing that I hope is in the movies that it's not related to the comic books, but just I hope that they do with this movie is give us a character that we haven't seen in the trailer yet.
Yeah, give us something
Like a surprise
yeah.
character in this movie would be so much fun. Have a Doctor Strange cameo, Daredevil,
Or if they-
Iron Fist.
What about something like really big? Would that work for you?
Bringing Captain Marvel to Earth to set him up to pass the bands to Carol Danvers would be really cool.
That'd be really cool.
That would be cool.
Fuck it, throw in Nova. That'd be come out of left
Oh
field.
yeah, Nova. But I think they're gonna save those for Guardians. I wouldn't be surprised.
Nova Corps is kind of a hint. They're going to say that one for Guardians for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel is Star Lord's dad in those.
Oh yeah, I could see that for sure.
But to what you were saying, it would be cool if there was something really big that they've just been holding on to. Like,
Right. It was
that-
Spider-Man, but then they didn't hold on to it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want there to be this like surprise beat like C-list hero pop in and be like, oh,
Well,
Like-
do you wanna,
Yeah, they might suit up someone like Speedball or Nitro that we don't care about at all.
right. Like
well, then it'd be another Quicksilver situation. Like, here he is. Oh, he died. Aren't you
Yeah.
sad?
we
No?
blew it.
No, no one's sad.
Like,
Damn it.
Even if they just bring in Hank Pym or something dumb, it'd be exciting.
I'd be okay with Hank.
Yeah.
I'd still want to see Hank suit up at some point. I know they're
Oh,
never
I
going to
know.
do it, but I really want to see him suit
We're
up.
supposed to just be happy with him wearing the Scotty Lang looking Ant-Man suit.
Yeah, no, I want
In
Hank
the,
Pym in his yellow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yellow Jacket. Well, Yellow Jacket was the villain. So what's he gonna wear?
He doesn't have to have the big pointer things.
Oh, can I talk
He
about one
should.
thing that I know they're doing in the movie that I'm super excited about?
Is it about a super big guy?
Yes, it is. It's pretty spoiled at this point by the toys and the
Fucking
IMAX
toys.
aspect.
Yeah.
But we're gonna see Giant Man.
I'm very upset about that. Not that we're seeing Giant Man. I'm totally cool with that.
But I mean, it was so hinted at with the Thomas the Tank Engine thing getting really big at the end.
I
of
know,
Ant-Man.
I know it's been hinted at, but I was
And we knew
hoping
it was
that,
coming.
I hope they're saving it. I was hoping they're going to save it for Ant-Man and Wasp.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Which is, I mean, it's fine. And then when they first said, I was really afraid they're going to kill him like they did Goliath, just to show the gargantuan cemetery scene.
That was such a good scene. Goliath got killed as a big man, and
Yeah.
and they had to bury him as a big man.
That's so sad. They had to buy like 37
Plots of land.
plots.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, I think we should wrap this thing up. Is there
Yeah.
anything else anybody really wants to mention on this thing?
Oh, what do you think the after the credits are going to tease?
I
think the
my
obvious
safe
answers
answer
are
is Stephen Strange.
Doctor Strange and Black Panther.
My hopeful answer, I know they're not going to do it, but the one that would really make me excited is if it's somehow Carol Danvers.
Oh, yeah.
They have not told us who Carol Danvers is yet, who's playing her, but at the end say like Katie Sackhoff. I know it's probably not going to be her because they're
Yeah.
mad at her for saying that I have the role. She spoke a little too soon, but if it's somebody like that, it's just like, hi, I'm Carol. Like, give me like a hi, I'm Ant-Man moment.
Yeah. What else is on the docket now that Inhumans is off that they could tease? Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel.
Isn't Captain Marvel? Black Panther's in the
Black
movie. The only one that
Panther.
we have not seen anything of that's still coming up is.
Is there a character we haven't seen or talked about yet?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
So unless there's somebody new in the movie, I don't know what else they could do. But I think, honestly, what you mentioned earlier that I think would be the most cool thing that they could do is if they killed Captain America post credits.
Oh yeah, the post-credit scene being the shot that actually kills Captain America.
Yeah, I mean it had to be short and quick. And
That
make
would be
people go,
pretty-
what the fuck?
That would be
But-
pretty daring, actually.
There is. I have one more speculation I want to talk about. Who's going to pick up the shield after this movie?
Winter Soldier. They've already hinted at it.
You don't think it's going to go? So you don't think it's going to be a little tease that Winter Soldier has it for a second, and then it's Sam Wilson?
No, I think they'll go with Winter Soldier.
I think hands down, Infinity War Part 1 is going to have a different Captain America.
Yeah, and I think it'll be Winter Soldier.
All right.
Just because they've already shown him like the foreshadowing of him holding the shield in Winter Soldier.
No, I totally think I'm on the Falcon on this one.
I don't think so.
Because it's Civil War Part 2.
Yeah, I think
Team Falcon,
I think they want to keep Falcon as Falcon.
We'll see.
Which is fine, because I think he does a great job as Falcon.
So I got this fun shirt. This is Civil War from the Marvel Collector's Court box. And fun. It came with a little 2-pack of Iron Man and Captain America Funko Pops. And it came with a little card insert that said it was originally going to be Sam Wilson, Captain America, but they scrapped it the last second for production reasons. Or maybe because Marvel told them that they have plans for that.
Or maybe because Marvel told them that it's the wrong Captain America.
Okay, guys, I'm Black Panther in this discussion. Neutral party.
I was going to say Spider-Man too, but probably not.
Because they hinted at him holding the shield too.
Yeah,
oh my God, my theory is
saying.
broken.
I do think it's fun in the comic books that, there's all this talk about who's worthy to pick up Thor's hammer. I think there's a little bit of there's a worthiness that comes along with picking up Captain America's shield, even just for a moment. And there's been so many times in the comic books where Spider-Man does that. It's fun.
All right, so with that, I say we're going to bring our first Hypetizer / full After the Hype episode to a close. Will probably be our last half and half episode. After this, we'll just do the Hypetizer stuff.
And we're still figuring it out, too.
We're still going to figure it out. It's still it's a flexible thing. But yeah, we want to hear from you. We want to hear what works, what doesn't work, and what you want to see more of.
And ideas,
Yeah, what do you want to see us talk about? Like, is there something you're hyped about that you want us to talk about?
Oh, please talk to us about what you're hyped about.
Yeah, that's what we want to hear. We're here to talk about hype mostly after it, but on Hypetizers, it's all just hype. Any time is good time.
Yeah.
So for a closing thing, I'm going to say, what is the next movie you plan on seeing?
After Civil War?
No. If you're going to a movie today, what's the next one you're going to go see?
What came out this weekend?
I don't even know.
I was going to see The Jungle Book last week, but I can't decide about it.
Yeah, if it were today, I'd go see The Jungle Book.
I'm actually going to see The Jungle Book tomorrow. The Jungle Book!
Yeah.
It's across the table.
Jungle Book has the hype.
Yeah. I've heard it's great.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It looks really, really, really boring to me.
But Bill Murray's in it.
Bill Murray's in some... He's also in both of the Garfield movies.
Did you see the Garfield movies?
I saw the first one.
Oh.
I don't recommend it. I did not see the Tale of Two Kitties.
You can spoil that if you want.
No, I'm all right.
Does he eat lasagna? And 8 Mondays?
That's Tuesdays in this one. They went way off the book.
Oh, goodness.
They pulled the rug right out from under us.
Those dang reboots.
Okay, so thank you again for everybody. Thank you for Ryan and John for coming out.
Sure.
There we go. Okay. Bye.